Hey, what's going on, guys? Appreciate y'all hanging in there for another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Reviews. So, today we're going to be going through some of these presets and different things that I've managed to construct on the Future Impact. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that the Future Impact is slowly becoming one of my favorite pedals ever. Definitely tracks well on bass, but it also has a unique ability to be played with a keyboard as well, just like the Enzo X. But it has the additional feature of being able to play other MIDI capable instruments with the input of the bass. So it'll track my bass and then it spits that out and through the MIDI into, say, a keyboard like this motif I have here. If I wanted to play the synth sounds in here, I could as well. So those are two amazing features. Mind you, this pedal really isn't that expensive. I think it's about $350. For about $350, not to mention, are you hearing these sounds you can just make on a, that you can just, mind you, all these sounds you're going to hear from the Future Impact are in my pack. So if you want these sounds and you have a Future Impact, you can just download it from the Patreon. But just dirty, heavy, warm sounds. So far we did 4 of them. Let's go to number 5. Let's see how many I got in this pack here. Let's see. So I actually created some extra presets. I'm going to have to go back and add these to the current packs. And the people that already have it, I'm going to email you with the updated pack as well, just because I like you guys. But, I'm constantly creating packs. So, I originally it was only 30, and I created another 10 since then. So, all right, let's get back rolling through them. We got quite a few to get through, I guess. All right, so we're on let's go back real quick for those of you that missed it. We'll just run them real quick. Number 1, this is Heavy Computer. This one is Heavy Moog, number 2. So that's what I mean by I took this on Sunday, right? If you've been following me, you know the last couple of weeks I haven't been able to play bass because my fingertips have been killing me. So I'm taking a couple weeks off and playing the physical bass. But all these sounds were designed with me using my bass, you know, with the exception of the last 10 I just made. But they all these sounds that you're hearing again are available in the pack, and they are actually designed on the bass. Now here's some tips that's going to help you out with the future impact, right? You need to make sure that your note off and your note on levels are set properly. Let me pull out the little paper here. If you don't have these two things set properly, then you will not get good tracking at all with it, you know. So, and the way it comes stock, it's not set up. So I have mine set up for, let me see. I think I have mine set up for 40 and 40 for the note off level, and the note on level, I have that set for 37. So what they do is the note off, if you want, like, because I want more articulation, I want the sound to be able to do when I'm playing my bass, right? So I have that set. It goes up to 0. I think it goes 0 to 64 or something like that. Let me see. Oh, so it goes, okay. So 0 is actually like the middle of the scale where it comes in default. So I like mine higher than that. It goes negative 64 all the way up to 64. So in terms of the values, so I have mine set for 37 for the note on level and 40 for the note off level. And then I EQ my bass. I keep my bass, like the bass frequency flat. I keep the highs flat and I boost the high mids, and that usually gets it to track very well for me. And then you also need to adjust your playing. Just like when I normally play piano, I might play a line a little bit closer to that, but when I'm using these sounds, I have to play a little bit more choppier. Or be conscious of me be conscious of what my articulation a lot more, right? So those are some things that'll definitely help you navigate the future impact, especially when you're playing it with your bass, you know. And then you want to get that level to where this input level here, I wish I could play so I could show you guys, but you want to get that to just hit that red just when you hitting that your loudest note. So bam, you hit it, bam, then you back, you know, it should back down to the yellow. So you'll have green, yellow, and a red light right here. So, you know, keep that stuff in mind and it'll track just fine for you. Hit that like button for me, you know what I'm saying? Who else bringing you the future impact? Everybody else talking about this MXR pedal, which is just fine. We're going to get there. But, you know, by the way, if you want to contribute to the MX5 Bass Synth Fund, feel free to hit that cash up. But, and that like button. So, let's get back to some sounds. We going this pedal here. I have no idea why nobody's talking about it. This is so amazing, such an amazing pedal. And no, I'm not sponsored by Panda Audio at all. I'm just really like the pedal. might need some headphones to really be able to appreciate these sounds, you know, especially like this one. But trust me, when I was running this joint on Sunday at church, running key bass, because that's all I could do at the moment. And this joint and the Enzo X definitely delivered. You know, I'll do, if I have time later on, maybe I'll get to the Enzo X stuff. But this one was called church bass. So this is one of the sounds. So, you know, I can use it for various things. And the other little trick to these presets, yes, it's 40 of them now. It's 30 in the current pack, but I'm going to update it. So don't worry. If you buy the pack and you don't have the extra 10 in there, I definitely will send it to you. But if you come over to the filter cutoff, right, and this is where the filters are super important. Knowing how the filter works, the cutoff, the resonance, the attack and decay and envelope depth and dynamic. So if you come over to the cutoff, let's say I wanted to add it. I can open it up some more. When I say this joint is heavy, is heavy. It sounds like in the house, like and when you playing on stage and stuff, it just sounds so good. Like, and it just fits in a mix so well. Different, you know. You know, of course, I could change the resonance. I can add more resonance. I can take it away. That's just playing with the resonance. I can make that filter open slower with the attack. Say I wanted it to open slower. See how it's taking its time to open now? Let's see. You see how now the whole thing just sounds completely different from that's the actual preset right there, you know. So that's what I'm talking about. Just changing the attack, the parameters that are available to you right here on the pedal, the attack of the, and all these are pretty much filter parameters. So you can adjust the cutoff, the resonance, and how much the filter is actually interacting with the ADSR, or how much it's interacting based on the dynamics that you're playing. And that's what the dynamic part will come from the envelope depth. And the actual decay is like how once that filter opens, right, when you play a note, how fast it comes back down, pretty much. So something can go wow, or something can go wow. That will have a slower delay. So it's the same thing. And attack, instead of going wow. It might go wow, you know, depending on how you have the decay set up. So that's pretty much how that is. And then you also have a balance on here. And then a lot of my patches, some of them have chorus at the end, some of them have EQ. So depending on which one, you know, when you turn it to effect, you can turn this and change the slant of the EQ to be treble or bass. And you can also change the level of the patch here. And you can also change the balance between your dry signal and your wet signal of the synth. So now that we got all that out the way, let's get back to the presets. So that was the church bass. That was the, you know, and I have multiple variations of these things as well. So this is the actual 1 plus laser Moog. So you only hear, what's up? I really don't even know what that means, but I appreciate you commenting. Feel free to ask questions, guys, about what we're doing. Appreciate you subscribing. Yeah, I'm just not sure what that means. Can you tell me some instruments? I'm not really sure what that is, you know. But so that's laser bass, but the other part of the sound you cannot hear because I'm not playing my actual bass. When you play this with an actual bass, you'll hear your bass up an octave with like it's layered. It's a layered sound, so it's meant to work with the synth sound that you're hearing there. So unfortunately, you know, like I said, I've injured my fingertips, so I can't really play right now. Play bass at least. So that's also primarily why I'm only using my right hand to play key bass as well. So here we go. Number 5, Saw Moog. Tell me these ain't great bass sounds. Like this unit is so, that is so, and it sounds like that when you play it with your bass. And it tracks well. It tracks just as well as MXR bass synths. It tracks just as well as the Enzo X. You know, I would say, and you know, the C4 synth actually has decent tracking as well, but these sounds are better. Like, this sounds like a Moog. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. This sounds so warm and big in the system. Like, I got so many compliments from the different sounds I was using in it, and every time I turn it on, it just compliments. Like, cause the unit, it sounds so organic. It does not even sound to me like when I'm, especially that filter. That filter is, that's the other thing. You can use all of these as lead sounds too. So it's just And if I need, you really don't need more. I mean, I really don't even understand it. Like I'm not sure how they've managed to fit all of that into this little pedal. I'm really amazed. Like, so what I'm looking at is I can take something like let me see, let me change the view for 1 second. I can take that little Axiom controller. This joint, very light. Take this. So now I take that and I take this same pedal board that I take for all my bass stuff. I take that same pedal board, and if I really want to play key bass or something, I can, and I really don't have to bring hardly really any extra gear. It's just that, a stand and the power cable and the MIDI cable. So very, not nothing I can't carry in just one bag. And like I said, the thing's very light. So that, and I took that and this pedal board, which still has my Empress and my ToneX for if I want to run preamps and stuff. Oh, that joint was kicking butt on Sunday. That and the Enzo X. The Enzo X, just for a sound comparison, real quick. That's the Enzo X. So they're very much on the same level in terms of sound quality. Like this doesn't sound like a Moog. The Enzo X sounds like its own keyboard synth. Like it just sounds very original to me. While this literally sounds like he duplicated a Moog and like a few other synthesizers. Was that the ARP 3000 or something like that? And it's just whatever sounds I want to get to on here, I pretty much can. That's in from those analog synths, I can pretty much get to it, and sounds that I can't get to in those. So let's keep it moving because I know I'll get caught up here. We only 5 in. If y'all here, hit that like button for me wherever y'all are. And like I said, if this what you like, hit that Cash App. I appreciate tips, all that good stuff. And all these sounds are, again, available on Patreon. Let's go. Number 6, cut synth. Oh, sorry, that's the Enzo X. Turn that here. And that's the other thing I love. I have the Enzo X and all this stuff hooked up together, and I can play the Enzo X and this at the same time, layer the sounds. Just bananas work, just crazy. All right, number 8, and this list isn't in numerical order. It's just what I have them listed as, where I have them saved at on here. So check, don't pay the mind that I'm skipping numbers like I skipped 7. I'm going to do that. So this number 8, which is Big Bounce, which is more of a So yeah, for sure. Like, come on, what else you need? Like, I would love, and I am gonna get the MXR bass synth, but I would love to see it get all this big variety of sounds. I understand it's convenient, but is convenient always better? Sometimes convenience comes at the expense of not having all the features it could have for just $100 more. You know, definitely check out the V4. The sound quality and just they upgraded like everything on the V4 and the V4 VIP, which is what I'm using. Not to mention, you can play other synths with this. This is just insane. The sound quality, the fact that you can play other synths with it. This is number 9, Mellow Bounce. So it's a... So I kind of designed this one to be like something for a verse, right? And then have number 8 as something as like a chorus or a bigger part of the song. You see what I'm saying? Like that one's brighter compared to much more, mellow. Hence the name Mellow Bounce. Here's squish bass. Squish synth, I call this one. So I was just, like I said, that the new MXR bass pedal, I'm sure it doesn't sound bad. It does not sound as good as the Future Impact V4 VIP, at least, which is the same thing as the V4, just in a smaller, housing compartment. It's literally the same exact pedal, same exact everything. If you have a V4 already, you can actually buy the smaller housing and just switch it over. But the MXR pedal, the VIP version is this one, the smaller one, this red one. So there's a bigger version, which is the V4. But this preset pack works for all of them. So, well, not all of them, V4 and the VIP. I know it works for those two. So, but yeah, it's just this smaller one here. And as you can see, it's the same if you turn it on the side, it's about the same size as a C4 synth, just sideways. And, see, another thing you could do with this thing, you could just keep this. You could just say you got a synth bass gig, right? And, or a gig, right? And you just tell them to give you a keyboard, bro. Tell them put that on the back line, like if you're doing a show or something. Or like I said, I use something that light, something really light like that. M Audio Axiom 61, because this motif is pretty heavy. It's an older version. Well, I'll have to cover that the ground loop, like how I handle noise and stuff on my pedal boards another time. But I could do another live about that. But real quick, it's mostly your power and your cables. If you got crappy power, it ain't gonna work. If you got crappy cables that ain't soldered, properly and are solid. I did all these cables I have done myself. All these cables you seeing, so that's how why it's so quiet. You know what I mean? Hours it took me to do all these cables. Like even some more down there on the floor back there. It's just I have cables all around here, and all of them I did myself, soldered them myself. So that makes a huge difference. So get you something like what's these True Tone CS12s are great. The MXR Dunlop power brick thing is good too. So check all that stuff out. Keep your power board quiet. I also use these $40 loopers. Effects loop, so it's 3 effects loops pretty much, and I can take out anything I want out of my chain signal, and I got 3 of these. So the other way. All right. I would say so. I would say the Future Impact is going to be a better choice than the C4 synth for sure. Like, if you're in the market if you only can get one of these synth pedals, I ain't going to hold you. Just get the Future Impact. I mean, definitely get you a Future Impact. I mean, and then you can worry about getting the MXR pedal. I mean, if you just don't want to do nothing like with software or nothing, just get the MXR. But you're not going to have access to sounds this juicy and be able to play key bass if you felt like it, and be able to control other synths. And with the special cable with this, I can actually control my blurst, which is my analog filter, which you're going to hear later. So I use that analog filter with this pedal as well, and it's amazing. Any of these analog filters, and even the Spectrum works great with it. So, see, I got a C4. Yeah, I love the C4. I got a C4 synth pack as well on the Patreon. I got the C4 synth pack, Enzo X pack, Future Impact, the Zoom pedals, all that stuff. The MS-60B plus, MS-70 CDR plus, and the Zoom B6. Let's get back to let me get to these presets a little bit, and I'll get back to some questions. Feel free to type the questions. I just want to make sure we keep moving through this pack a little bit. All right. So number 11 is Chameleon. So you could get sounds like that on there. It's easy work. And mind you, I say get the Future Impact because for another reason as well. You get 99 presets on here. And if you're not into programming sounds, just download my pack. You're also going down. Fair warning, people. If you don't have a MIDI a MIDI interface for your computer, you will need one. So I have something like the CME HD MIDI Pro. You'll need that for the Future Impact in order to communicate with the computer. But if you have Main Stage or Logic or what's the other one? GarageBand. You can play those sounds with your bass through the Future Impact. Oh, that's so amazing. I'm trying to, and it works well. It's very little latency, the same amount of latency as using the internal synthesizer. And the latency is no, all of them have a small amount of latency. Every pedal does, but nothing you will feel. It felt really good to play the Future Impact with my bass, like my actual bass live. And it felt good to play it with a keyboard too. So this is Chorus Synth. So that is Chorus Synth. Here's number 13, Fat Moog. And just a heads up, I went, when I was designing these sounds, I went and did a lot of research into different some of the most popular sought after bass sounds. So that's why, you'll hear a lot of things. So try to get a lot of popular, juicy bass synths in here. So that one's number 13, Fat Moog. So the Empress compressor is before the Future Impact. When I'm playing bass, I do use the Empress compressor, but I only use it on 2.1 when I'm using the compressor. Normally I'm using 10.1, and I use the mix knob around like 11, which gives me mostly dry signal and some of the compression signal on top of that. But I'm not playing bass, so I'm literally using just MIDI right now. What else we got here? Appreciate all y'all hanging out with me. Yep, there it does the dry envelope. It does. You can use these filters on just your bass. You can use all the effects on your dry bass sound as well. So there's two different ways to add, and you can keep your dry signal and you can have a wet signal You can have 2 different signal paths for that, and it'll have, you can run it through the distortion block as well, and you can choose to have your bass signal run through the ADSR of the Future Impact as well. So you got mad options with this joint. That's why I said some of these sounds, the sounds that would normally have my bass sound affected in whatever way, normally an octave up, or rolling with the synth, I can't really do it right now. And, like I said, I can't play right now for the rest of the week, at least, maybe 2, just to let my hands heal. I've never taken off for more than a week of playing music in general in 31 years. I'm 30, sheesh. Yeah, I'm 35, so that's 31 years. Playing since I was 4, music in general. That's why, I have different skills on different instruments. But what else we got here? Well, I'm using the Atlas compressor so normally when I'm running my bass into the Future Impact, I'm running it into the Empress compressor, then the Future Impact, and then out of the Future Impact, I'm not even using. A lot of times, I don't even need to use the ToneX for these sounds because they already sound great. But I am using an Atlas compressor, which has a compression of like 10-1, and then I have a tube compressor running that into a solid state compressor running into a tube compressor. A solid state is doing all the compressing. The tube one is just doing more tone. So, without it, it's not super audible difference, but it's just enough little saturation to really warm these sounds up. They already warm by themselves. That filter is so good, yo. And not to mention, the filter responds just like a Moog. Like if you watch a Moog video of how they make the bass synths, you can literally duplicate that process with the Future Impact. That's where, for me, it really shines over the other pedals. It behaves just like an actual synth when you're using the software. Make sure you hit that like button for me if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure if this is useful to you, don't be afraid to hit that Cash App. If you want to contribute to the MXR Bass Fund, hurry up and get me to get this pedal to review it for y'all. Get an honest review, because I ain't gonna play with it. If it ain't all the way right, it's gonna get put up against. Now, I will say this. Y'all help me get that MXR bass synth, I'm going to put it up against these other 3 right here, the C4 synth, the Future Impact, and the Enzo X. So, if you want to see that, which I know a lot of y'all do, everybody don't have those pedals, and everybody's not super experienced, and I've been watching people use these pedals, and they don't even really know how to use them. Like, if you go back and watch some of those C4 synth videos on some of those channels, and you be like, man, they ain't even scratched the surface with it, because the C4 synth is very capable. Now, in terms of parameters, all 3 of these pedals right here, the C4 synth, Enzo X, Future Impact, are all gonna have really great like parameters, presets. And I know it's overwhelming for a lot of folks. This is what I want y'all to understand. Don't let things overwhelm you. Just break them down to the simplest form. The same way you do with music. Like if you can't do, how you gonna get to all this extra stuff? Just work on the basics of it. Break it down. Start with just the oscillator. Turn everything else off, and then figure out how that oscillator's path goes through the synthesizers or the pedals and different things like that, and work with one oscillator at a time first. So just the first one, Get that the way you want it to go, and then you can add the second oscillator or third or fourth, and you can add something else you can do with this thing. Let me go on to the next sound. This one I call Smooth Talk. Just big, massive bass sounds are just capable on here. See what we got here. Yeah, I would say compression does help with most of the tracking with these pedals, except for the Enzo X. Enzo X needs to be, your EQ needs to be different than usual. Like usually you boost in the high mids and cut your lows a little bit, and for normal tracking of octave pedals and synth pedals. But the Enzo X, you actually want to cut your lows, boost your low mids, and let that be, and keep your highs flat or rolled off just slightly. That'll have it track better. So keep that in mind as well, and with no compression, because it uses the dynamics a lot more than the other synth pedals, I will say. But you see how you could just get just filthy. No way you're gonna tell me what? And you can play that. These sound just like this with, I can't wait to play my bass. I can't wait to play my bass again. I promise y'all, I can't wait to play my bass again. But it sounds just like I programmed all of these sounds using my bass. I did not program these with the keyboard because I wanted to make sure they would sound the same way when you guys start to play it, right? So I didn't design it on the keyboard. And the magical part is, and one of the biggest difference between the Future Impact and the Enzo X, in my opinion, is, you can, what I made on the bass sounds exactly like it does with the keyboard. And with the Enzo X, I have to change. I can use the same sound. I just have to alter things slightly in here to make it sound the exact same. It doesn't, like the keyboard doesn't respond the same way the bass tracking does on here. So that's something else that I had discovered after, making packs. Like I'm gonna come out with a separate pack of the Enzo X keyboard bass synths. So, but let's move on. That's number 14. Number 15, Rockstar. So it's just so many dirty sounds and 16 heavy computer 2. Are we even asking? Are we even really asking? Is this on the same level as the MXR pedal? Not that I got anything against the MXR pedal because I haven't tried it yet, but it seems like a nice, you know, seems like a nice little pedal, you know. If you just want, if you really don't want to have to fiddle with nothing, yeah, it get you there. But is it gonna get you this? No. Is it gonna get you this sound quality? Absolutely not. The like the tracking is pretty much they're pretty much on par with each other with the tracking. Sound quality, yeah, is just wholly. This is a keyboard's brain in a pedal. That's exactly what this is. An actual analog synth brain, like modeled into a pedal that sounds absolutely amazing. You could play it with a keyboard or your bass. Again, that right there alone is worth it to me. And I can play other keyboards with it. You know what I'm saying? That's just sickening. That's just sickening. Nobody else has that feature where you can play your bass and then go straight MIDI out of the pedal into another keyboard and play that joint. Like, come on now. Like, that's fire. And the tracking on bass is amazing. It's the same as, it's on par with everything else. Like, none of these pedals is going to track perfectly. Like, and by perfectly, I mean, I will say they can track perfectly. It's more so you. Like, even me when I play, it's me. Like, it's not the pedal. The pedal's trying to interpret what I'm playing. Now, if I'm not playing in a way that the pedal can properly interpret it, that's more on me than it is the pedal. You know, also, like I said, with the Future Impact, that note off and note on levels, you need to really fiddle around with that to figure out where your touch is on the bass, and how that makes a huge difference in the tracking. So for the yeah, does the Unisynth sound as good though? Like, I mean, you know, that's the other thing. Yeah, you're going, hey, you know, if y'all want to speed up that MXR with you, you know, that Cash App always right there, you know. Neo Lover, one of the subscribers, Lover 23, who was generous enough to sponsor half of this pedal for the channel because he wanted me to do a pack for it. The Future Impact has also come up with a good part of the MXR fund. So if you guys want that sooner, you know what I'm saying, you can always hit that Cash App, and that'll make it go real soon. Because we close. It's just, you know, I don't really need that pedal, especially with these. Like, I'm really not even that interested in it, but I know you guys are. And I do this channel for you guys, not just for what I want to do. Like, it's mostly to be a service and a help to you all. You know what I'm saying? So I got to get it just because y'all keep asking. Y'all love this pedal, boy. And nobody got it in stock, boy. Y'all trying to make me work some magic, man. I can't even. Now, here's a tip. If you're looking for one, I saw it's 5 left on Musician's Friends website of them MXR bass synth pedals. If you want one, you might want to grab it now. You know what I'm saying? They on back order. I'm seeing them on back order to like October, bro. So keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? But I got this Future Impact in a couple days. You know, literally over the weekend. Ordered it on Friday, Monday or Tuesday it was there. Number 17 is Little Computer. So again, I tried to have like one where it's really big and open for the chorus or bridges or outros, and then that's the big computer 2 or heavy computer 2, and this is the little computer you can use for like some verse type stuff. So I try to have I try to keep in mind that, you know, you got to play more than one part of a song, right? So, you know, at least I try to have one variation sometimes that can, you know, if I have a really aggressive sound like that, I try to have a milder version of that as well. So when you want the verse, you can play the verse real, which was, yeah. And then when you want to go to the chorus, oh, sorry, I went up. Like where it really cuts, you know, and this one to bring it a little back. You know what I'm saying? And then that gives you some options there. And guess what? If you really don't want to have to fiddle around with programming this joint, just get you a MIDI interface like I did the CME H2 MIDI Pro. Those run you about $40-50. And it basically allows the MIDI information just like an audio interface, but for MIDI. So it allows the MIDI information to go to your computer. And then you take your Future Impact, you download my pack from Patreon that you're listening to now. All these sounds, you can have them. They're on the Patreon. And you just, you know, download the directory into the software, and you can put, you know, in the manager part of the software, of the Future Impact software. So, all right, number 18, this is a lead sound I made. Talk to him nice. It don't do no good if it ain't gonna sing to you now. Yep, any cheap USB, that is correct. Any you know, you don't have to. I use the CME MIDI Pro because that's actually how I run all the MIDI on my board. So say you wanted to have like a MS-70 CDR Plus and the HX1, and the Future Impact, the Enzo X, the Hog 2, all this stuff on MIDI, and just be switching. I actually have a MIDI captain down here on the floor, so I can actually switch like most of my pedal board with just MIDI. So that's why I use the CME H2 MIDI Pro, because it has USB, MIDI, and as well as the 2 MIDI in and out slots. You know, and then there's a bigger version of that, but then there's ones that are like $20, $15 that you can get. Same thing. You can get MIDI interfaces for relatively cheap. So, you know, MIDI's been around forever, so it's not an exclusive technology anymore, you know. So you can literally get a $15, $20 one is going to do the same thing if you're not going to. But if you want to incorporate it into your board and have a lot of flexibility in the routing, I would say get you something like this, the H2 MIDI Pro. And look how small it is. It's very small. It's just, you know, about the size of my finger, just like of 2 fingers. It's about the size of 2 fingers. Yeah. You know, some of y'all know about that. Ain't the first time you used. How many oscillators? Oh, it's 4 of them. Yup. And you can use 3 different waveforms on each oscillator in various amounts to create your own custom waveform. So like some of these sounds you're hearing aren't just a pure square wave on the bottom and saw on the top. Some of them might be a square and a saw on the bottom on the same oscillator, creating its own custom waveform, along with the other parameters you have there in the software on the oscillators. Then, you know, you can get fold over distortion with this thing. Like it's just, if you can literally push it into distortion. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so that right there is it definitely makes for a lot of custom sounds. But that's my favorite lead sound right there. And you know, it's got that nice sex appeal to it, you know what I'm saying? Make it sing. So you can get some nice crazy effects with that. And that was Funky Sex Lead. That's what we call that, number 18. All right, number 19. Technically, I can't even do number 19, but I made like a OC5 style octaver that sounds very close to this OC5 I have down here on the floor. I actually was going A and B in those and just, you know, getting it as close as possible. So that's what number 19 is. Number 20 is another lead sound, but, you know, this one would have an octave up from your bass. So yeah, it'll track octaves on your bass. Like a lot of times people, when your stuff's not tracking, like I said, it's probably you. Like people say you can't, you know, now certain pedals are better with octaves and fifths. Like the Enzo X is really good with the octaves and the fifths. But these two, what do you mean octave riffs? I don't even know what that means. Like, what do you mean octave riffs? You mean like, can it do that? Yes, it can do that on bass. But what do you mean by octave riffs? Because, and just to be quite frankly, like, how often are you doing that? Most songs are not doing that. Like most. I mean, you know, you don't really need that as much as you think you would. Yeah, it can do that, but So can the C4 synth. People say the C4 synth can't do octaves, but I can do octaves on my C4 synth. Now, do I have to pay careful attention to articulate them? Like I said, instead of doing, like, if I do, that's not going to work, because you got to remember it's monophonic. So if you're doing this, and when you play the second, when you're going up to the octave, if you still, it's not like a keyboard. You see how this keyboard automatically goes? Your bass doesn't do that naturally. So you have to make, you hear the difference? You can, but you have to articulate that. Like, you have to, your playing has to be clean. Like, it can't be like, you see what I'm saying? Even if I play a sloppy on the keyboard, you see what I'm saying? Now you can really tell it's not the pedal. When you play with a keyboard, it's tracking perfectly. It's literally just your playing. Like, it's just your playing. And that's not a knock. That's to say, make sure you're properly muting with your strings. So, like, I'll do a separate video on bass technique. I'm actually going to do a bass technique course and a improvisation course, so I can show you guys a lot of I have a whole way to take you from a beginner as an improvisation to a professional in a very short amount of time. So I could definitely help you guys with that, and you'll learn everything. You'll learn scales and everything else. No, it's not like glitchy. It's not glitchy if you play it right. And I would suggest getting a fret wrap. Like, a fret wrap definitely helps with stuff like that, especially those octaves. The glitches that you're hearing from pedals is like little noises your bass is making, like from you playing it. Like, if you just play a note and it tracks it, if you go do 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 do, and if you can do that cleanly and it can track, that means the thing tracks. So anything that ain't you playing cleanly, or it's not coming out, you may have to make adjustments to how you're playing the certain sounds. It might need, you see how even me just hitting that? Like, that's all when you're hearing those glitches, that's what the pedal's trying to do. It's trying to decide if that whatever noise, but it knows this is a note for sure, because it's an electronic signal. But when your bass does it, it's trying to figure out what that note is. So when you got like little extra noises in your playing, like, or strings are ringing out, or harmonics are overdone, over here, it's just really that proper string muting, a fret wrap, and then EQ on your bass properly. Like I said, like with this pedal, you don't have to cut your bass as much as all the other ones. Now, what else we got here? Well, I'll get to the Hog 2 in another video. Again, I actually have a video on the Hog 2 already, but we on the Future Impact right now. Hog 2, I got a ton of settings for the Hog 2. But and that was Fat Square. This is smooth bass. No, that's this one. And the reason why, like, I have so many of these presets and different things, because different songs, I'm not really into trying to recreate other people's sound from their song. I could care less, to be honest with you. What I'm more into is creating sounds that I like. Like, I really don't even try to duplicate other people's sounds, like that, in terms of I need to sound exactly like this song when I play it. People don't care about that lie. But, all these allow you to get close to whatever song is out there, as well as a few extra creative patches. So that's... Number 29. Smooth bass 2. Don't worry, folks. We're moving along. I told you we're not going to hit every single number in between there. Ton of different variations of things. Yep, we're going to come up on some of them in a little bit. In the next few, we're going to get to some more FM type sounds, because we definitely did that as well. Now, I will say I actually like that type of sound from the Enzo X as well, those FM joints, FM synth style. Yeah, that's the only real difference between the V4 and the VIP. It's just they're smaller. I would recommend just getting the VIP, guys. It's smaller, it's compact, and there's no point in having that big housing that is clearly doing nothing for it if it can fit in this. That's one of the stock sounds right there. 31. So you got bam. 33 Rockstar 2. So this one, I actually designed this directly from the guy that did Flashlight. So the guy that actually did, well, not Flashlight, he did a lot of the Michael Jackson programming and stuff. I forgot the guy's name. But he's an amazing synth bass and just synth guy in general. Yeah, a lot of these are very. If you could literally put this pedal up against a Moog in a blind test, I think most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So I said it to say this one's called Big Flashlight. This is definitely, I know a lot want to sound that a lot of pedals try to get to, they just can't. So of course, now we got a few variations of that. Here's Big Flashlight 2, number 35. And here's Big Flashlight 3, number 38. So, tons of variation. Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. This is just I'm just using the motif as a MIDI controller. So that's all I'm using it for. I'm not using none of the sounds. None of the sounds you're hearing are coming from the motif, just the future impact. That's what you're seeing here. Yep. And if you talking about the purest, best bass pedal, like bass, just straight up bass synth pedal, it's gonna be the future impact. Now, if you want, now I'll go through because I'm almost finished with these. I'm not too far from being done with these. So if I have a few minutes at the end, I'll go through some different bass synth sounds in the Enzo X. You know, I definitely have 30. I have a 30 bass presets on here. So, you know, and those sound completely, the sounds I get from here don't sound like, this sounds like a vintage synth. This sound, the Enzo X sounds like a newer synth, like something that's like new, you know. See how warm that is? Sounds like that when you play it on your bass too. And you know, tracking wise, all of them, you can get all these units to track well if you set it up properly. Like each of them do have their own little way you have to EQ, or just, it's like you almost have to experiment with getting them to understand what you're playing. But once you can EQ in a way that the pedal can understand it, typically you can get it to track better, you know. All right. Appreciate you, Peter, helping out in the chat. Appreciate you as well. You chiming in, helping out. Only reason I'm not some of those I'm letting, he already giving you the answer, so some of those I ain't really. And I appreciate the name, Anthony Marinelli. I'm terrible with names. I apologize if I butchered his name. I believe that's his name, gentleman with the like the orangish hair. You know, he got like the, I wish I still had some hair, but yeah. Huge fan is this next one, 40. And as you can hear from me, that sounds like a fan to me. You know. And this one is Warm Saw. And here is Hot Saw. All right. So don't forget to hit that like button while y'all here. I appreciate all y'all hanging out with me for sure. And again, all these are in the preset pack, and I'm going to update the pack to add the last 10 I added. And I'll also, if you already purchased the pack, I will make sure I send these out to you as well, so you don't even have to hit me up about it. So 49 is just a plain square and wave on the bottom, octave down, and a saw wave up, right? So this is what just the oscillators sound like. Right? So we got that there. But I did that so if you have analog filters that you want to use with the oscillators, like I have a bass electroharmonics bass balls and electroharmonics burst MXR bass filter, and I also have a Spectrum down there. Who is this? Source Audio Spectrum pedal, right? So I wanted to use some of the same filters from the C4 synth, which is the same ones that are in the Spectrum. So now I'm gonna add from the Spectrum. I like the 6-pole, the 4, and the 2-pole low pass filters. So I'm all tangled up here. I have all of those set up for that. So 6. Mind you, this is the same sound. Without it, with it. So now you have a setting, you can just add your own filter to it. Baseballs. Again, it's just those two oscillators, no additional effects on them. No, I have them EQ'd, and I just have them running through the overdrive, but no actual gain. So just to warm it up a bit. Bam. So, but again, this is the only sound coming from the Future Impact, and then I'm just running that through different filters that I have that aren't on the Future Impact. So you got something like so you can take the same preset and just run it through different filters the filters is what really changes these oscillators and makes them sound like different things. So you don't always have to use a Moog style filter with these. You can use like these twin style filter of the baseballs. The 6-pole low pass filter from the C4 synth. If you already have that, you can, you don't have to buy the Spectrum. It's same filters are available on the C4 synth. And got one of my all-time favorite filters, which I'm actually trying to get my hands on that MIDI to control voltage cable, and I'm going to run that to the blurst, right? And so then with the blurst, I'll be able to control a lot of things from the C4, and it's going to integrate the blurst into the C4 more, like becoming, another part of the thing there. So, and I can take patches like this and have them, programmed in there, and the blurst is going to be in time or whatever the case. Yeah, you can get close to it, but you can get close to the baseball filter, but it's not gonna sound like that baseball's exactly. It's gonna sound like a twin filter. Like the Enzo X has a twin filter on it as well, but it does not sound like. Just like when you add this blurst, it's just so warm. So just playing around with your filters is going to allow you to get a bunch of different settings on that thing. Yeah, for sure. For sure, you can get that type of filter on there. But baseballs has that nice. It's an actual analog filter, so it does the analog thing. So just doing your thing with different filters and stuff, can also open up various options for the future impact or any synth pedal, really. You know, that changing the filter can just be night and day. Like, of course, that's the baseball spectrum. Blurs. So you could definitely get them to sound completely different, you know, just changing that. Yep, you can do that as well. That's why I said the C4 synth. I mean, not C4 synth. The Future Impact V4 is a very versatile pedal. You can get close to just about a ton of different sounds. Now, like I said, the only thing, well, with me, I like having different filters available. Even though that is a flexible filter section, I do like the blur sounds like the blurs, like the actual filter. And it still has that really warm, it really warms up the Future Impact in terms of like, because it's an analog filter that's already very warm, it just adds another layer to it, you know. So I'm definitely an advocate of the filters in the Future Impact. Don't get me wrong, the filters that are in here are amazing, and they're very versatile. You can use them for all those other bass sounds. So, you know, but I wanted to have some options where if I wanted to switch it up, I can switch it up. See, this is another one that just so you can hear the difference between the two. So as you can hear, those have, you know, those oscillators are set up differently, you know what I'm saying? So that gives you same filter options. Slightly different sound. Yeah, like this one's much tighter. And then this one's a little. It's a little bit more open. So just depends on what type of sound you're going for there, you know. But those two, I set up two patches where it's just the oscillators for that very reason. You got different options you can run it through. Like I said, if you have a C4 synth, you can run this after this, you know, run the C4 synth after, and just set that up to be the filter section. And that way you got access to all the filters in the C4 synth or the Spectrum as well. So I like options. I'm an options guy. Like I don't like to have a lot of gear in terms of going out the house. That's why I have, like, this is my main gigging pedal board here, this part. But, you know, I like to have each individual pedal have a lot of different uses. So I never just, if you look at my stuff, like very few of my pedals, none of my pedals really, other than filters. Filters are the only thing like that. Yeah, everything else is really versatile in the things you can do with it. Because I don't like getting stuck into one little thing. It only does one sound. I wish I would buy a pedal that only do one sound. Oh, I love that. I can't recommend the EHX Blurst enough. That is one of my favorite envelope filters, and it's not even an envelope filter, it's a modulated filter. But if you use it, expression pedal, you can use it like a wah-wah. So, all right. You're getting into some dirtier sounds. This one's FM fold over. FM fold over 2. This is FM fold chorus. I'm gonna bring up this cutoff. So you can get some really juicy sounds out of this thing. It's crazy. This is one of the most slept on pedals in the last 5 years. I just don't even understand it. Why nobody's. I don't really. This was like one other video before I started doing videos on this, which is insane. The amount that this pedal can do. It's almost like if, you know what I'm saying, it's almost like people don't want to review it if they're not getting paid for it. You know, it's like, do you really like the pedal, or are you just getting paid to say you like the pedal? And I don't have no problem with that. But, you know, I think it's way too much of that on YouTube in general. Like, it's too many commercials. Like, not commercials as in themselves. I'm talking about, like, pretty much most of these videos just long commercials for the pedal. Like, they don't really go into details and, you know, how to create even the sounds in the video or anything, or just they don't try to really deep dive into the pedal. It's like they just get a couple pedals in a week. All right, let's cover these pedals, put together a video, bam. I know it's a business and all, but hey, you know, at some point you gotta actually believe in what you're selling. You know, I'm not saying they don't, because I don't know them. And this ain't directed towards any particular channel or nothing. Oh, shout out to Ted Talks Bass. I think he started following me. I believe that's his name, Ted Talk Bass. Another fellow bass YouTuber. Great channel to check out as well. He actually did a comparison between the MXR bass synth and the actual bass synth keyboard. So, you know, that's where I found out about him, and then I happened to bring him up on the live one time, and then I guess he heard about it, or somebody told him, and he hit me up, and yeah, it's nice to connect with other bass YouTubers. You know what I'm saying? Yannick Guizdala is another one I really like. His stuff is amazing in terms of like, oh, of course his playing is amazing, but you know his sounds be ridiculous too. Like I don't know if y'all have ever heard what's the album? I want to say It Happened Once. It's like they did like an impromptu album on there, but yeah, check them out. They was killing on there. Oh, okay. Number 97. This dirty church bass. Yeah, good job, Pete. Appreciate you. Appreciate you helping out with that, man. Hey, you bought it. Y'all hard work paid off, bro. Hard work paid off. This is definitely not leaving off of my pedal board anytime soon. Like, I mean, you know, that is definitely not getting off that pedal board no time soon. And again, shout out to Neo Lover 23 who happened to make this part of this video possible by contributing to the Future Impact V4 and VIP fund. You know, he's actually the person that gave me an idea. You know, if y'all want to help out with reviews, like you have pedals in particular you want me to cover right away, I buy this stuff myself. I do not. I mean, I'm not endorsed with any of these companies, so like whenever you see me reviewing a pedal, you know I bought it. You know what I'm saying? And even if that ever changes, I will let you guys know. You know what I'm saying? Like for sure, I will let you guys know, and then be like, you know, such and such sent this over. But even then, I'm going to tell folks, listen, don't send me nothing if you don't want to hear the negative about it, because I ain't going to do it. You wasting your time and you wasting mine. If you don't want an honest review, do not send me your products. I'm not lying for you. So you can forget that. 98 is going to be Church Bass 2. This is actually like the main one I was using. It's almost like organ pedals. This joint was turning the church up on Sunday, yo. And the last one is Laser Moog. So that's literally all the presets in the pack. But mind you, this is just the bass synth stuff that it's capable of. You know, I do a few leads in there, but this thing has so many nice sounds in it. You know, in general, you can play around with. Let me see. Now, these are the stock sounds. These are not part of the pack. I would love to see the MXR pedal do this. So, and those last bit of sounds you were hearing there are the stock ones. So it's like even a lot of the stock sounds are very, useful. Now I will say I wish that the stock sounds were a little heftier, had a little bit more bottom. That's why I went and did my own pack, But like I said, my entire pack is available on the Patreon if you would like to get a hold of that. So download it, then you just drop it right into the pedal, unzip the file, and you can just download it right onto your pedal or into your software and pick out ones you want to try out. All right. So now brings us to, I promise if I had a few minutes, let me see. Is not even a MIDI switch. It's the MIDI controller. You just run it from the MIDI out of the keyboard to the MIDI in of the Future Impact. That's all you're doing. Now, if you want to use your bass to control, say, the keyboard, you plug your bass into the input, get the track, set up the track and stuff properly. Then you need to, if it's not on already, it's probably not. You got to go on the software, turn the MIDI out on, then take MIDI out of the Future Impact and go to the MIDI end of the keyboard, and then make sure that they're on the same MIDI channels. Make sure that the keyboard's set up for MIDI inputs, and all that good stuff. And then, bam, you can play. You know what I'm saying? You can play the sounds with the Future Impact. And it's like now you got a Moog and whatever, other mono synth you want in here, Then you got all the different sounds you can have available on the keyboard if you want to use like EP, or if you want to layer it with an organ or whatever you want to do, you can do that as well. And that's really amazing. So let's get to the Enzo X. Now this is another pedal that can, definitely can be your main bass synth rig. I was using this sound a lot at church too, because it's a really nice, like even when it's going down. And this is the Enzo X. And where the Enzo X really shines is it can do stuff like that. That can. Fire. This is the other thing I was saying. I like the FM basses on the Enzo X a lot. Like that just gets. No problem. Appreciate you hanging out with us, Pete. Feel free to come back anytime. We definitely appreciate y'all hard work on this future impact. But, you know, we're going through these Enzo X sounds real quick. Just dirty. So yeah, that's some of the Enzo X bass and stuff. Cause you know, you don't really have nobody showing off the bass side of Enzo X either. The Enzo X is an absolutely amazing pedal. Now, if you want the future impact at a better price, hold on. Let me see. That 520 is not where it's at. You need to go to Panda Audio's website directly. Let me see. Let me pull it up. Yeah, you need to go to the Panda Audio joint. Let me see, which one is it? Where is it? Yep, the price today is not the price yesterday. So yeah, it's $410 now. Right? So, but you gotta go to Panda Media, pandamidi.com. And they got it for 349 euros, which is 410 in American money. But the shipping is fast. It's definitely worth it. If I was you, I would get one now because it seems like when I bought it, it was. Let me see. Well, I'm looking at a music store joint. Let me see. It says musicstore.com. I don't know. I'm not recommending none of these. I don't know these folks. I'm not gonna say. I'm not recommending who to go and buy it from or whatever, other than Panda MIDI. Pandamidi.com. Like I said, I got it for like $350 something. So if I was you and you really want this pedal, I would get one now because look what happened with, the Deep Impact and all that other stuff. The price ended up skyrocketing, and this isn't a huge company, so I don't know what the quantity is that they have of these. So I would definitely grab one if I was you. Yeah, pandamidi.com. So I bought mine directly from them. So that's something else to look out for. And it's not $520 if you get it from them either. It's still $410 plus probably whatever the shipping. So let's call it, $450. Still would be cheaper to get it from them. So directly. But yeah, this, in terms of the Enzo X though. It's mono and monophonic and polyphonic, so you can play chords with it. It's one of my favorite sounds. And I actually like to mix that with the actual keyboard sound. That's a sound. And I'm not. That's strange. What? Oh, come on. What's going on? Can't be. Yeah, that's the right cable. This ain't getting no sound. What's going on? It's always something. You try to demonstrate something and then things want to play with you. Yeah, I love Jay Dilla's stuff. Jay Dilla is amazing. And I actually don't even know that Pink Floyd song. Just not getting no sound all of a sudden. Whatever. But you can layer it with other sounds, basically. I don't even know what just happened. Oh, whatever. Yeah, but that's what I was saying about the Enzo X. It's just an amazing piece of gear that you can really, you can get the bass synths, you can get the leads. You got the leads on here too. And our arpeggiator, all that stuff. that sound quality on the Enzo X ain't nothing to play with. That's what I'm saying. The Enzo X and the Future Impact pretty much are in my opinion, the best synth pedals out right now. And it's not even close. The only thing even close to those two is the C4 synth. I believe that MXR based synth pedal is going to be somewhere on the level of the C4 synth. You know, the C4, I don't believe it's a bad pedal. I just don't think it. You know, for me, I'm not that product's demographic per se. Like I'm a guy that likes to get in there and tinker around and have all the parameters and stuff to play with, and not be worrying about not having enough to adjust things. So for me, I love having all the flexibility of the Future Impact and the Enzo X and the C4. And all of these, even if you set up the same oscillators in all three of these synth pedals here, the sounds are still going to be different. The filters are different in them, and just the oscillators sound slightly different, even though it's a square wave. It just sounds slightly different. Square wave is not always going to sound exactly. It sounds like a square wave, but it's like the different, processing power and sound quality of the pedal all makes a difference as well. I can tell you now, the Future Impact is the reigning bass champion. Like, as just, you talking about bass synth, you ain't going to beat that joint. But the Enzo X, you're not going to beat that at what it does either, as a polyphonic synth and, as a pedal. We talking about pedals. We're keeping this in mind because all those sounds I just was playing on the Enzo X, I can play with my bass. And, that's game changer right there. This is the first time, in my opinion, where we're getting usable, organic, analog sounding synths. Like, like just things that sound really pristine and really warm, and they just sound good. Like, these are the first two pedals for me that have done that. C4 synth is a, great pedal and all, but it's not what these are. It's just not. And it's not because of the tracking. It's just the overall sound quality of this and this is insane. And, I do have some C4 synth sounds that I'm going to keep using because, it still allows me to get those, that side of the, just more synth bass options. You know what I'm saying? So between the three units here, each three synth units, I got about 70, 80 different bass sounds, that I can choose from different synths and stuff. So that makes it a very flexible rig, and I know that's quite a grip of pedal money right there. That Enzo X about 600. The Future Impact, I just looked at it, is 410. It was 350. I got the joint around 350, and they run it up on me a little bit in between now and then. But I still would say the Future Impact, it's not even close. Like, it's better than the other pedals at doing synth bass. Like, it just is. Can't really describe why. And we're not talking about tracking. We're talking about the bass sounds. Like, so it sounds amazing. I mean, that's the end of the story, When I do the shootout between, because I will get the MXR bass synth at some point. If you would like to help out with the MXR bass synth fun, because I do the honest reviews and I pay for this stuff myself. If you wanted to come a little faster, whoa. If you want the MXR pedal here a little faster for an honest review, leave something in the Cash App if you like what I do and you want to help out the channel long term. You can do that on the Patreon. You can support there. And, as well as if you want any of these packs for these pedals, that also helps support me to buy more pedals for you guys to review, for me to review for you guys rather. It's quite a lot, especially with something like the MXR. I don't really need that, but like I said, I know you guys need an honest review, and just like somebody that's not getting paid to show you it. But so on the Patreon, we got the C4 synth pack, right? That's like 40 something presets on there. You got my whole, I think this Enzo X pack is 100 presets. It's my whole pedal, like a copy of my entire pedal, pretty much. Future Impact, the new patches will be updated, and I'll be putting those in there. So, but that pack's available right now on Patreon. Then you also have packs for the Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus, the Zoom MS-60B Plus, got the Zoom B6 pack as well, and also have 11 different preamp packs available for the ToneX 1 series. Things like, you know what I'm saying? We got the Magellan on there. We got the Aguilar AG preamp. You know what I'm saying? Got the Ampeg SGT on there. Got the Eden WTDI on there. As an old school, this was one of the first like pedals. This is the first exact pedal I ever bought. And we got stuff like the Mark Bass, Lil Mark III, you know what I'm saying? The original OG of the game. Got that pack on there. Got the Harkey, we got Jens Benz, Shuttle 9. So it's 11 different preamp packs available on there, as well as my personal ToneX 1 preset list, which includes 12 different preamps that, you know, I also got things like the color box on there, which I'm talking through now, so I can't pick it up and show you. But the color box pack is on there for the ToneX 1 series pedals and software as well. So if you want any of my presets, go over to the Patreon. You want to support the channel? You can do that through Cash App or Patreon if you want to support every month. So I definitely appreciate you guys hanging with me. It's been a pleasure showing you guys, you know, some of the quality and just the amazing Future Impact V4 VIP. And of course, I'll be doing more videos on this, and I'll probably do one on the editor again, you know, just to, you know, walk you guys through using the editor and make sure that it sounds good. So, all right. I appreciate y'all hanging out. I'll catch you guys later. No, that's not a clone. This is the Enzo X. This effects loop. So yeah. But I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching another episode of All Bass Creations, Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. I am the Bass Negus. Find me on all social media at the Bass Negus. If you want to DM me, you can do all that through the various social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And yeah, I answer. You know, I try to get to you as soon as I can, you know, but, you know, of course I got other things going on. But I appreciate you guys.